I'm Russ Mitchell. Is it civil war, Iraq's deadliest day yet? Baghdad is now under lockdown as the violence spirals out of control. Giving back, a high-powered banker switches careers and neighborhoods to set an example you will not believe. And Grover had his nose to the ground and Snoopy was on a short leash. But spirits soared, even though it rained on America's most popular parade.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
And good evening. Katie is off tonight. As Americans celebrate Thanksgiving, Iraqis will remember this day for a very different reason, the deadliest attack since the U.S. invasion. At least 160 Iraqis were killed, mostly Shiites, in a series of car bombings and mortar attacks. Baghdad is locked down under curfew until further notice. Its airport now closed to commercial traffic. And as 140,000 U.S. soldiers spent another holiday thousands of miles from home, Iraq remains on the brink of civil war. Elizabeth Palmer begins our coverage in Baghdad.
U.S. soldiers arriving in the Baghdad mess hall this Thanksgiving morning were looking forward to generous portions of a holiday staple.
We have turkey, we have fried turkey.
Dedicated soldiers in a war zone, far from family and friends, but still finding blessings to count.
Happy Thanksgiving! Ow! Thankful I got this roof over my head, you know. It could be worse. I could be sleeping in the desert under a tent or something. So.
Especially thankful, soldiers from the 4th Infantry Division. They headed home today. Replacing them, soldiers from the 1st Cavalry Division who've just arrived in Baghdad for a year-long tour of duty. Less than 2 hours later, they learned just how savage a tour it could be. At least 3 car bombs and a mortar exploded in quick succession within a square mile of the poor Shiite neighborhood of Sadr City. In the mayhem, rescue workers sorted wounded from dead. But the deluge of casualties arriving at the Imam Ali Hospital swamped the medical staff and overflowed onto the floors. Many died where they lay. In the street, grief turned to rage. And gunmen of the Mahdi army, the Shiite militia who policed this area, swore blood revenge. The Sunnis will pay, they screamed. By nightfall, shaken politicians from all parties appeared together, calling for calm. And to the music of an old patriotic song, Iraqi television showed soothing images of a more peaceful time. The government has now imposed an indefinite curfew and closed the airport. The slaughter today stunned Iraqis like never before, with the tit-for-tat murder rate now spiraling up. Many believe that the civil war that everybody's been fearing has finally arrived. Russ?
Elizabeth, let's talk about that tit-for-tat fighting you spoke of, this retaliation by the Shiites. What can you tell us about that?
Well, almost immediately after the car bombings, mortars began raining down on one of the holiest Sunni shrines in Baghdad, apparently damaging it. It's a very famous and old mosque. At the moment, you can probably see things have gone quiet with the curfew, but everybody is braced very much against tomorrow. Russ?
Elizabeth Palmer in Baghdad. Thank you. Meanwhile, President Bush was on the phone today, sending his best wishes to U.S. service members in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other duty stations. Cheryl Atkinson joins us now from Washington. Cheryl, a bloody day in Baghdad, obviously. Did the White House have any official reaction to it?
Well, Russ, the president spent Thanksgiving at Camp David, and he made no public statements. But we did reach a White House official about the explosion of violence today in Iraq, and she told us, quote, "We condemn such acts of senseless violence that are clearly aimed at undermining the Iraqi people's hopes for a peaceful and stable Iraq. The United States is committed to helping the Iraqis." The spokesman also pointed out that President Bush will meet with Iraq's prime minister next week. That's a meeting that was already scheduled to talk about security problems, but surely takes on new urgency with the latest violence, Russ.
Cheryl, that meeting you talked about with the president and Iraqi Prime Minister Maliki, is that part of a new diplomatic push from the White House?
Well, the president's meeting with the Iraqi leader happens in Jordan on Wednesday, and yes, that is part of a push. Let's look at some other things. Thursday, the Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice attends a Mideast conference. That's also in Jordan. And the day after tomorrow, it's Vice President Cheney meeting in Saudi Arabia with King Abdullah. Now, remember, there have been a lot of important changes here in the U.S. in the past couple of weeks. The resignation of Defense Secretary Rumsfeld, the Democratic control of Congress, all signal a shift in Iraq's strategy may be coming very, very soon.
Cheryl Atkinson reporting from Washington. Thank you very much. Turning to another part of the Middle East, there are new appeals for calm tonight in Lebanon. This as hundreds of thousands mourned a murdered cabinet minister and vented their outrage at a powerful neighbor. Sheila McVicker is in Beirut.
The funeral of the sixth political leader assassinated in Lebanon in less than 2 years turned into a massive rally and a show of defiance. Pierre Gemayel was a Christian, a son of one of Lebanon's most powerful families, gunned down on Tuesday. His father, a former president, led the mourning. We will bring to justice all those who commit these crimes against our leaders, our sons, he vowed. The first leader killed was Prime Minister Rafik Hariri. An ongoing UN investigation has implicated neighboring Syria. This latest killing is unsolved, but this crowd thinks they know who did it. Are you convinced that this is the result of Syrian meddling?
Yes, of course. The Syrian regime did all the killed all our leaders.
Beyond the finger-pointing, there is a real threat to American ambitions. As surely as those bullets killed Pierre Gemayel, they also shot holes in U.S. policy, just at the moment when the U.S. and its allies were beginning to reach out to Syria. The administration had hoped Syria might help stabilize Iraq, but this latest murder has complicated that plan immeasurably.
We support the Lebanese people's desire to live in peace, to defend their democracy against attempts by Syria, Iran, and allies to foment instability and violence.
Many Lebanese think this country's future may well be decided in the next few days.
We're not talking government and change of government. We're talking about the existence of the country.
Tonight, there is so much uncertainty that for their own safety, members of Lebanon's government are reported to be sleeping in the Cabinet Office building. Sheila McVicker, CBS News, Beirut.
There is late word tonight from London that a former KGB spy has died, apparently after being poisoned. As Richard Roth tells us, this is a cloak and dagger story with Cold War overtones.
This is how former Russian spy Alexander Litvinenko looked in the days before he died in a London hospital. And here's how he looked 3 weeks ago, before the ex-KGB colonel had a series of meetings in London for tea and then lunch at a sushi bar and encountered someone he was convinced who wanted to kill him. The British say he was poisoned, but don't know with what or by whom. Litvinenko had accused his Kremlin bosses of corruption and fled Russia 6 years ago, but hardly stayed silent. After last month's murder of muckraking journalist Anna Politkovskaya, he pointed a very public finger at a fellow former spy, Vladimir Putin.
Somebody has asked me directly, who is guilty of Anna's death? Who has killed her? And I can directly answer you, it is Mr. Putin, the President of the Russian Federation, who's killed her.
It's pure fantasy, says the Kremlin, to think Moscow was involved in Litvinenko's poisoning. But in what novelist John le Carré once called the ambiguity that was part of the Cold War, that sort of speculation's not just based on fiction. 30 years ago, Bulgarian dissident Georgy Markov was murdered on a London bridge, stabbed with an umbrella tipped with the poison ricin. And 2 years ago, Kremlin critic Viktor Yushchenko was poisoned and disfigured while campaigning for the presidency of the Ukraine. Whoever was behind those poisonings is as much a mystery today as the case of the late Alexander Litvinenko. Richard Roth, CBS News, London.
Back in this country, of course, it is Thanksgiving Day. We hope you're having a good one. New York's famous Macy's parade got off to a windy, soaking start, but right on time. However, a decision on whether the giant balloons would fly went right down to the wire. Michelle Miller was out in the cold, wet throng.
They came from far.
Yesterday we drove 10 hours from Ohio.
And near.
Where are you from?
Now out in Long Island.
Today, thousands of, well, you'd have to call them brave souls, ignored the swirling rains and bitter cold to get a glimpse of their favorite star.
I'm a big Santa fan.
You still believe?
Absolutely.
But heavy rains and high winds almost grounded the biggest attractions.
On net, and we're going to raise the balloon up.
Organizers of Macy's 80th Thanksgiving Day Parade waited to the bitter end to allow Snoopy and 23 other 50-footers to take flight. They kept them on a short leash. What's your favorite balloon?
The Scooby-Doo.
Last year, the average big balloon flew about 22 feet. Today, they got no higher than 17. The balloons were so low, SpongeBob could barely see his toes. City rules restrict balloons from flying in sustained 23-mile-per-hour winds or with gusts stronger than 34 miles an hour. And while wind gusts hovered just under those thresholds, city leaders erred on the side of caution.
I'd like to see the balloons fly. I always like to watch them, but we're not going to run any risks.
Especially after last year's accident. A 300-pound M&M balloon clipped the head of a streetlight and fell onto two sisters. And in 1997, a Cat in the Hat balloon hit a lamppost, injuring a 33-year-old investment banker. She suffered permanent brain damage. Thankfully, no serious mishaps this year, except if you count the drenching downpour that rained on 3-year-old Charlie Zorba's parade.
And he was into it until it really started raining, and then that was all she wrote.
And it's all about the families and kids. And how's this for irony, Russ? I invited up the entire family from Louisiana and Alabama to enjoy the parade while I worked. Guess what? The weather kept them in their rooms dry. Who was soaked out on the parade route?
Duty call, duty call. At least they're going to save dinner for you, I hope.
I hope so. Save dinner for me, folks.
We'll see. Michelle Miller, thanks a lot.
Russ. Happy Turkey Day.
Thank you so much. There is lots more ahead in the CBS Evening News, including the final installment of our series, Giving Back. But first, with so many servicemen and women facing ever-growing dangers in Iraq, we wanted to show our thanks by giving some of them the chance to send greetings back home to their families.
My name is Adam Haymaker from the beautiful state of Virginia. So I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving to all my family back home, Mom, Dad, Dustin, Madison, Harrison, William, Mitchell. Love you guys, and I'm thinking about you a lot.